当 SGA 赢得总冠军和总决赛 MVP， 成为本赛季的终极赢家，很多人不禁会问，他是最难防守的球员，还是罚球批发商？ SGA 如何成为最难防守的球员，又该如何看待他的造犯规与罚球？就让 NBA 球员们来告诉你。大家好，这是 Telfair， 我们一起挖掘真实励志有趣的篮球文化。你的点赞让我不停更新。2016年7月，在智利举办的 U18 美洲杯决赛，来自美国的高中生特雷杨第一次见到来自加拿大的 SGA。决赛中 ，Shai 仅仅上场17分钟，5投2中，拿到5分，但他却给特雷杨留下了深刻的印象。
Playing against him when I was on the USA team back in high school, he's just always been super smart, super cerebral. A taller guard who knows how to use his body. He's someone with that type of skill set is going to be able to adapt to the NBA game quick, and he's done that.
当时的 Shai 刚来到美国不久，表现与排名都不如自己的表弟尼基尔亚历山大沃克。但是几个月之后，他完成超车，被篮球名校肯塔基大学招募。2017年夏天，刚刚参加完选秀的福克斯、蒙克与阿德巴约，与刚刚来肯塔基报道的新一届大一新生们打了一场对抗赛。这一批大一新生一共有8人，其中有6名5星级高中生。但是在这场对抗赛中，表现最为突出的球员却是比他们排名更低的 SGA。
Me, Bam, and Malik actually went back after we got drafted, and the guys were there. And Shai was kind of the not necessarily unknown guy, but I don't think he was a McDonald's All-American. And they had a couple, and I think he was like the lowest ranked out of the guy. I think he was still like top 50 or whatever, but he was like the lowest ranked out of all the guys. And we go and we play pickup. I'm like, yo, I think he's going to be the best player on the team. I truly believe that at the time.
赛季过半 ，SGA 成功脱颖而出，他成为球队首发，并在 SEC 锦标赛与疯狂3月中大放异彩。大一赛季结束，他在2018年 NBA 选秀中成为 NBA 乐透秀。SGA 来到 NBA 的第一站是洛杉矶快船，刚刚来到球队，他的竞争对手 NBA 老将贝弗利立即想给这名新秀上一课，但是很快他就发现这名新秀并不一样。
First day of practice, he doing shit in practice like usually first day of practice like. With a rookie, I can punk a rookie, like punk the rookie. All right, cool. After I punk you, I'm gonna teach you now. When I mean punk, I mean like, take your ball, get in your grill, But after I'm done doing that, I coach you up. Like, okay, cool. All right. But with Shai, that's the only rookie that didn't go for that shit. He didn't go for none of that shit. Shai was the best rookie I've probably ever been around in my entire life. Man, that motherfucking rookie, he been cold since day one. That motherfucker's cold-blooded killer.
同样发现 SGA 特别之处的，还有快船的另一位老将，3届 NBA 最佳第6人得主路威廉姆斯。
Like Shai was very methodical with his work, loved working. That's one thing that I can say about SGA when we was teammates. Like he loved the work. Like some guys, it look like if they act like it's punishment. You know what I'm saying? He was like, I do this shit all day. So I just taught him how to be efficient.
在新秀赛季中 ，SGA 在一场对阵勇士队的常规赛中，11投8中，得到18分。此时，勇士队的凯文杜兰特还无法念对 SGA 的名字，却已经记住了他的表现。
Yeah, Shai Gilgeous. We played against them early in the year, and man, he got the mid-range down. His mid-range is so good. And he shoot it with the high release, so it's hard to block at 6'6" when point guard's guarding him.
Yeah.
So you got to put a 2 guard on him. And he's still shooting over 2 guards.
Right.
So I'm like, man, that size and at that age, he's just going. And once you learn how to shoot the mid range, I feel like the 3 ball is going to be easier for you to shoot because it's hard to aim at the mid ranges like that. He knocking them down consistently. So I like that he's tall too for that position. So he's probably the guy that I'm like stood out the most because I never watched him.
尽管在自己的新秀赛季已经展现潜力。赛季结束之后，为了交易当赛季 MVP 候选人保罗·乔治，快船还是将 SGA 交易到雷霆。交易之后4年 ，SGA 赢得了来自保罗·乔治本人的尊重。
No, I love Shai. I love Shai's game. Man, Shai is nice. And people don't understand. He's bigger than you think. He might look small like on court, but he's like 6'6", bro. Is he a guard? Is he a point? Is he a shoot? Like his game is just, but he's nice.
来到雷霆之后 ，SGA 得到了在童年偶像克里斯保罗身边汲取营养的机会。
Like the way Shai uses his off hand is crazy. It's a lot of plays. Like we'll be in a timeout, and I'll be like, "Look, Shai, when I used to go by people, this is the play that I would run. So now we're gonna run it for you." You know what I mean? So his ability to get to the rim and his ability to draw fouls and all that it's been cool to see.
而在保罗离开之后 ，SGA 一步步成长为雷霆的当家球星，并用自己的努力带动年轻球员，这其中就包括他现在的搭档杰伦威廉姆斯。
But yeah, he's overly competitive. He's probably still in there shooting.
He's probably still in there shooting.
Yeah.
So he's a gym rat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And that was good for me, especially my first year, because I ended up like just going with him, and I feel like I was able to kind of learn from that. So now like I'll stay after too, and like I feel like that's really infectious with the team.
而与此同时 ，SGA 也一步步成为 NBA 球员心中最难防守的球员。
His mid-range game is tough. Like he got the step backs, he got the shit to get you off balance, the step throughs, up and unders. He's 6'6", so like point guards usually guard him. He's hooking right over them, fadeawaying right over them. Like he don't shoot many threes, so like his mid-range game is elite.
鹈鹕队的防守大闸特雷莫菲3世将 SGA 视作最难阻止的对手。
I'd say the guy that I probably struggled with a lot, like earlier on, was probably Shea.
2025年 SGA 总决赛的对手泰瑞斯哈利伯顿将 SGA 视为自己心目中最难防的球员。
I would say the hardest player in the NBA to guard is probably Shea.
为什么 SGA 能成为最难防守的球员 ？NBA 球员们提到了以下3点。
Because it's just not regular. Like his cadence isn't like other people. He moves kind of like slithery. Is a different. He has different movement pattern than like a lot of different guys. Like, and honestly, I don't think there's a movement pattern you can really like compare him to in the way he moves. Like people say like a modern day Kobe, but it's just like maybe, but I mean I feel like he's just himself. There's not really anybody else you can really compare him to.
Cadence 指的是球员进攻的节奏，而 SGA 拥有一种与别人完全不同的节奏与移动方式。SGA 的队友切特·霍姆格伦用 slither 滑动来形容 SGA 的移动方式。
He just moves in like a way that most people's body just can't move. Like the way he's able to like he just like slithers off of people. It's like you try to jam him and he just kind of like opens up and then just slides off you. And then if you try to cut him off, he's going to snatch you. So it's like whatever you do is wrong.
2024年西部第一轮第2场，面对特雷莫菲的防守 ，SGA 在后退的同时突然向前启动，将莫菲直接定在了原地。
There's one point where he had backed up and went forward at the same time. Doesn't make sense, but
Wait,
no,
he did what?
Yeah, he backed up and went forward at the same time. It doesn't make sense, but once you watch it, you're like, yeah, he backed up and went forward at the same time.
He backed up.
He dribbled back and then went forward, like basically simultaneously.
In real time, are you like, what was that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they showed it on film. It's like, why you let him go by? I'm like, what do you mean, why let him go by? Do you want to try to guard this? Like, promise you, I'm not trying to let him go by me.
Yeah.
Like,
because he has so many counters, and I think like sometimes if you stop him from doing something, he goes to the counter. If you stop him from doing that, he has just multiple counters at all times.
Counter 指的是在进攻球员做出第一个进攻动作被封堵之后所采取的反制动作，也就是所谓的变招。在防守者习惯了 SGA 的动作展开防守之后 ，SGA 可以根据防守者的动作进一步做出改变。
You know, he's gonna rock you to sleep and then blow by you. Like everything is just pace. Like slow, fast, fast, slow. Like he's gonna throw you off, your timing off. So it's tough. Like even like you might be in front of him, you might stop him, and then you'll relax. And then he'll boom attack you right again, and you're like, oh shit, I thought I had you.
Thought we were done here.
Yeah, I thought you was gonna give it up. I thought I got you here.
不仅仅在一个进攻回合之中，在不同的场次之间 ，SGA 也可以做出动作的调整。2024年季后赛首轮，雷霆对阵鹈鹕的第一场比赛，在墨菲的防守之下 ，SGA 只有6投1中，全场比赛他24投11中，得到28分，命中率46%。可就在墨菲觉得已经找到防住 SGA 的方法时，第2场比赛 SGA 看似使用了相同的动作和打法，但当墨菲用相同的方式防守时 ，SGA 却使出了新的变招、新的动作。这场比赛他在与墨菲对位时6投6中，整场比赛 SGA 19投13中，只通过4次罚球得到33分，命中率68%。
The first game, he didn't play his greatest game. Like I guarded him a few times and I did well. He didn't score a high percentage. And the next game he scored every time. And it was because he was doing things that you would think he's gonna do, and then he counter again. So like, I felt like I had an answer. He had another counter to my answer.
当然，关于 SGA 的进攻，绝对无法忽视的就是他造犯规的能力。 虽然看起来非常瘦弱，但是 SGA 非常擅长利用身体对抗获得空间。2025年西部决赛第2轮，雷霆的对手掘金队的尼克纳吉曾经这样形容 SGA 的对抗
He does a good job of getting the paint and then getting that bump, and that little bump that he gets creates separation enough for him to turn around and shoot or get a pump fake and then create the contact. So when he gets that bump and bumps you in the paint as you're backing up, it's important to be able to absorb that so that he doesn't get that space to feel comfortable.
而在突破之中 ，SGA 还会利用他的护球手进行对抗。篮网队球员卡梅隆·约翰逊将 SGA 的护球手形容为鸡翅，他会像小鸡挥动翅膀一般，利用护球手让防守者失去平衡。总决赛第4场的最后时刻 ，SGA 就用护球手推开了内史密斯，完成关键中投。
And he gets downhill, attacks those angles, and when he gets into that, point of contact with his body, all it takes is just that off arm, like kind of like little chicken wing, gets you off balance.
而当防守者主动发力去对抗 SGA 的护球手 ，SGA 就会开始造犯规。
Or if you want to counter it and try to be physical and hold your ground, then it looks like you just launch him into the third row and he's going down. So it's one of those things where he has those things. He has the angles, he has a change of direction and the physicality, and then the touch to go along with it. It's what makes him really elite.
那么 NBA 球员们又是如何看待 SGA 的造犯规呢？ SGA 造犯规的方式会让对手非常不爽。
A lot of it is just like not getting frustrated, especially because how can I word this without getting in trouble with the referees? You just have to be patient, and also you can't get frustrated because he's gonna get those calls. Like he's gonna get touch fouls from time to time.
2025年西部决赛中，爱德华兹曾经将球直接扔在 SGA 的身上，而随着季后赛的进行，大众对于 SGA 造犯规的争议越来越大。2025年季后赛雷霆对阵森林狼西部决赛第1场，比赛刚刚进行4分多钟 ，SGA 已经获得了他单节的第7记罚球。本场比赛的解说员 Doris Burke 直接引用了网络上 free throw merchant 罚球批发商这个说法。
He's a great free throw shooter. 5 of 7, so he's taken 7 free throws already in 4.5 minutes.
It's a reason NBA Twitter likes to call him the free throw merchant, Mike.
Free throw merchant 罚球商人或者罚球批发商，指的是 SGA 总是在大量兜售着自己的罚球。这轮系列赛之后的几场比赛，只要 SGA 站上罚球线，就必然少不了森林狼球迷的嘘声。与此同时，场边球迷还会高举 Free throw merchant 的标语牌。在之后的比赛中，这个标签更加一发不可收拾，在社交平台上继续蔓延。但是作为 Burke 的搭档 ，ESPN 知名解说 Mike Breen 并不同意这个说法。
What's your opinion on the free throw merchant conversation, Mike?
I think it's ridiculous, and I think it's part of the narrative to talk about it. But we've seen this for years and years and years. Great players know how to get to the free throw line. It's a part of the game. It's a skill, and he's using it to his advantage, and it's obviously working. And he even made a point a couple of weeks ago when we sat down with him. A couple of years ago, when they weren't a good team, they won like 40 games. They were in the play-in. He averaged 2 free throws more per game that season than he did this year. Go back and look at some of the free throws of some of the great players in the playoffs, whether it's Michael Jordan or anybody else. They shot more free throws than he's getting to the line. So, I understand sometimes the moves can be frustrating for a defender, but that's all part of being clever and savvy and getting to the free throw line. And it's also up to the officials to make sure they don't call ones where does he put his arm underneath the defender's arm? Sure, sometimes that happens. But I think it's crazy to look at it as a negative for him because he's just doing anything and everything he can to win a game for his team.
尽管 SGA 的造犯规让防守他的特雷莫菲非常不爽，但是莫菲还是认为 SGA 是用自己的实力得到了对自己有利的判罚。
And like guys that are the top 3 guys are gonna get a favorable whistle because that's just the respect they've earned. And he makes it a lot tougher because he drives more than almost anybody in the entire league. Like he gets to the basket at an absurd rate. You can't blame him for what is in the game. Like if the NBA was like, all right, you can't do this, then it's different. But like it's almost like with James Harden, like he's almost like exploiting a rule to an extent. But you know, you still have to be skilled enough to do it. But also too, like, dudes be fouling him too though. Like, I'm not gonna act like he's not getting fouled. I'm not gonna just let people just keep grab me and hold me. Like, I'm not just gonna let that happen. So it's just like you have to, you know, play the game within the game. I think that's what he's doing at a really high level, and then he drives at even higher level, so he's getting defended like that more than the average NBA player.
尽管 SGA 的鸡翅让约翰逊也非常不爽，但他还是承认。
And some people might say it's unethical hoops, but if anybody was as good as him at doing it, you do it. Like it's a skill more than anything.
SGA 在2024年西部决赛的对手凯里欧文在最近的直播中表达了自己对于 SGA 的支持。
And I know a lot of you guys be talking about, you guys be being funny, talking about he's a free throw merchant, he's this and he's that. Nah, man, Shai just plays the game the right way. He plays at a high level. You got to be a master manipulator out there, man. It's part of the game. All the greats have done it. You know, for me, I look at him as one of the guys that's going to be the prototype for the next generation.
而 SGA 的加拿大前辈前 MVP 得主史蒂夫纳什同样认为，这并不是 SGA 的错。造犯规建立在 SGA 的技术以及对于对抗的感知之上。
First of all, that's not his fault. Like the grifting stuff, like he's playing the game the way it's played. I think what happens is we have too many guys that are either looking for fouls or don't look enough for fouls. He rides the line like a Harden, you know, this is skill. You know you got to be physical because if he gets the first bump when you're, you know, lifting a foot, he's going to win that battle. Yeah. So then you're being physical. He feels that. Like there is such a cerebral sense and feel for playing against your man.
Yeah, it's such a leverage game, man. It's such a leverage game. And guarding him, you know, you get too close and then like he wants to find your body, but even if he doesn't, like he has wiggle on top of it. So it's very pick your poison with him. And a lot of guys are pretty skilled in the NBA. A lot of guys are very skilled. Like there's a lot of professional scorers, but where he has continued to get better. One, he's a shot maker. So all this goes out the window if he can't make that midi. If his three ball has never improved, if he can't finish around the rim, he can make shots from any point on the floor, which is part of the really impressive thing. But the decision making in those situations, which probably goes back to work, which probably goes back to like, here's a guy that has drilled these scenarios, the feel of the game over and over and over, and has just been able to like pretty seamlessly incorporate it into his game to the point where like it's always just building, learning.
当然 SGA 本人对于外界的看法并不在乎。
In terms of the label, I don't care. I never cared. I said this before, like I've shot more free throws in a season than I did this season. Like I think because we're on the top of everyone's radar, it's a little bit more noticeable, and now people care about it. But I kind of see it as a compliment.
时间回到2016年7月，在智利举办的 U18 美洲杯之前，纳什遇到了第一次入选国家队的 SGA。此时的他绝对没有想到，眼前的这个孩子会与他一样赢得常规赛 MVP， 还拥有了他不曾拥有的总冠军。
I haven't seen Shai work since summer. We had him going before he went to Kentucky with the national team, at which time I knew he would be a pro. I did not know this. That you only get there if you are incredibly thoughtful, dedicated, and intentional about everything you do every day.
努力、技术、对抗、头脑，再加上对于规则的利用，这一切让 SGA 在今年收获了最多的鲜花与掌声，也收获了最多的质疑与嘘声。在今天，他成为了这个赛季的终极反派，当然也是终极赢家。